the hyperspace. Podcasting in the 25th century presents
Cloning It In. Welcome in, podcast pioneers, to Cloning It In. Just the good ones. This is our discussion and review of the most important and best episodes of the Clone Wars series, encompassing all of the Star Wars animated world. And I'd like to tell you, my name is Jared.
My name's Matt.
I'm Brian.
I'm Lindsay.
The whole crew is here tonight, the Star Wars crew of the hyperspace.
We're back.
Falcon's ready to take off. The whole crew's here, man.
Yeah.
But we're not gonna mess the Falcon up like Chewie and Han did. Those
Oh,
savages.
no.
Well, I was very surprised to see how clean it was when Lando owned it. When it was just sparkling and nice. And then
Not to detract from our Clone Wars conversation, but you want to take like 2 minutes and just discuss the Acolyte trailer real quick?
Ooh, yeah.
sure.
Mainly, it just made me think because
I can't tell if that's because Jared is like, no, we don't have time, or if Jared did not like the trailer.
I'm actually gonna laugh about it because we just talked about Chewie and Han messing up the Falcon. But I like watch. I keep sending you guys these. This is great deepfake guy who does he does like Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon and Anakin, and they're making fun of the trailer. And in the trailer, there's a Wookiee that's wearing Jedi robes, and he's like, "So Wookiees do wear clothes. I'm going to have a stern word with Chewbacca."
Yeah. Chewbacca's just, he's a nudist.
No.
Yeah.
You know, it's his culture.
I can't get a read on the Acolyte trailer yet.
I think Carrie-Anne Moss doing Matrix fighting is a little on the nose.
There's also like a little bit of what feels like stunt casting with her. I don't know. I feel like some people, when I see them in something, they take me out of it if they don't fit in the thing. And I think she's an amazing actress. It's not even that. Like, and I've seen her in other stuff that it's not The Matrix, and she's been great in it. But I don't know why. I was like, oh, there's Trinity.
But then she just starts doing like martial arts.
Well, they all kind of do that, right?
Sort of.
Jedi?
Yeah. My wife's excited because she likes the Korean guy who's in it. She watches a bunch of Korean dramas, and she's like, "Oh man, that's gonna be great." And I was like, that's great. I mean, I will, look, it's a Star Wars show. I'm gonna give it a shot.
The vibes were good. I just didn't understand when it took place. I had to ask Charlie at work today.
It's 100 years before the Phantom Menace.
That's what he told me.
And my biggest problem is everybody in this show has to die. They have to die because in the Phantom Menace, nobody knows that the Sith are around. And what are they fighting in this trailer 100 years before the Phantom Menace?
Right. Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean the Sith aren't around, because they are. But they're in secret. They're in hiding. And
you just made me like the idea a little more that everybody's going to get slaughtered. I might watch it.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Rogue One, right?
I wasn't like
true. Everybody
now. I might watch it, knowing that all the younglings are going to become like,
Well, I'm gonna watch it. And there was a funny meme that came out that's because the Jedi Master's walking around going, "Close your eyes," and there's this one like alien bulbous head kid who just has big black eyes, and he goes, "I literally can't close my eyes." That made me laugh.
Well, anyways, we'll give it a shot. We'll watch a few episodes, and if it's worth talking about more,
we'll see.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to derail, but if they're gonna go 100 years ago with no one that we care about except maybe Yoda or whatever,
which they're gonna trot out legacy characters. Don't even worry about it.
Why couldn't they go even farther back? Go like older.
Go Knights of Republic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, hello.
Like make that jump. Just do it.
Yeah,
commit.
That way you're not messing with any film canon or anything.
Make a Darth Revan show.
There you go.
I mean,
that's
I'm
thousands
here ready to watch it.
Disney's a little bit inept right now.
It feels like it.
A little bit what?
Inept.
It feels like they're, I don't know, like just throwing everything against the wall. So,
Yeah.
Matt, your camera's doing what my camera usually does.
You know why? Because I'm using your camera today.
Are you using that Logitech camera?
Yeah.
Anyway. Well,
All right.
and that's all to say that Han and Chewie basically used the Falcon as their personal bathroom for about 20 years. And that's how it got so messed up. Anyway.
Is that like Disney using Star Wars as their personal bathroom?
We'll see. I don't
know.
know. I think that's a little harsh.
We're going to go a little
That might
pre-Disney.
be.
We're going to go pre-Disney here.
Yeah,
So-
we're talking Clone Wars.
Yeah.
We're going
Wow.
back to when the only Star Wars we had came on Saturday mornings. This is post Revenge of the Sith, and we're getting Clone Wars on a weekly basis, thanks to the Cartoon Network. But these few episodes were pretty important, and revisiting them was quite fun. And Lindsay, I imagine with your interest in the Jedi Survivor games, this was sort of a kind of a interesting look into the origins of the Night Sisters.
It was. I wrote down in my notes that I didn't lose this time. That I was like, oh, I like that this mother, what is her name? Mother
Talzin.
Talzin?
Talzin.
Talzin. Sorry, I couldn't remember. Mother Talzin. Like playing all sides. Like she's not on the
Yes.
Sith. She's not with the Sith. She's not with the Jedi. She literally is barely with Ventress at the end. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
she's literally just doing whatever she wants,
She has no side, which is kind of interesting.
which I liked. And I
Um,
feel like that, I was like, that helped me recontextualize, I forget her name already in the game too.
Asajj
The
Ventress.
Oh,
the Night Sister from Jedi Fallen Order. I
from the
forget her name.
Fallen Order game.
Yeah.
Oh crap, what's her name? That's a quick Google search away.
I know. I should know
Um,
it. I love those games. But it was cool to like put her in the context of where she was raised and how she was raised. And
Yeah, on
she's not a fan
Dathomir.
of the Jedi.
I'm glad that we're
obviously,
watching these episodes too, because we were all fans of Ahsoka, and I kind of forgotten little details about like the Night Sisters from the Clone Wars. So this was actually a great revisit.
That's
and the
true.
fact that we know that Asajj Ventress is coming back in Bad Batch at some point. It was
Mhm.
cool to get back and see her again, because I kind of forgot a little bit about her story, what happened. So I'm glad
She was a great bad guy, great villain for me. I've never saw any. I heard this name before, but I'd never seen any of the stuff she was
Mhm.
in, and I was like, "Ooh, she rules.
Okay.
She's
Yeah.
hardcore too."
So,
Yeah.
Dang.
since we're
She
talking about
doesn't mess
Asajj,
around.
real quick, I want to throw something out there for Asajj Ventress. Now, she's awesome. I've always liked her character. I thought she's always pretty cool. I like her voice. I like her look. I like everything about Asajj. She's cool. But when she gets cast out by Count Dooku and supposedly killed, she goes to seek revenge, and she uses the Night Sisters to help her get it. And it's funny to me how dedicated she is to the Night Sisters and how willing she is to be enwrapped with their philosophies, since she was cast out, given as an offering as a baby. She was not raised by the Night Sisters. She was not raised in the Night Sisters' mantra and their dogma. She's been on the outside of the Night Sisters her entire life. That said, I'm willing to believe that there's something innate as being a Night Sister that brings you into the homestead and you're okay with it. But I find it's interesting how rebellious and driven she is, and then how quickly she's brought back into the fold and like, I'm okay with everything that's happened to me.
And I totally trust you.
And I trust you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I trust everything that's going on here.
So when they did a little flashback with her when she was found
Mhm.
by a Jedi, now are we meant to believe? And this is something I probably missed. Is she taken into the temple
Trained in
and
secret?
raised as a Jedi? Because a Jedi finds her
That's what it looked like.
as a
Yeah,
little
I kind
kid.
of felt that way too. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's never really made clear in the Clone Wars series. In the original micro series, the hand-drawn series, that she kind of gets an origin story. But in the Clone Wars, we just kind of join her and she's already with Dooku. So it's not really explained how sort of they got together. But in this show, I thought it was, and this is something that I always wondered about. when I was watching the show as it aired, we have Palpatine show up and say, "Listen, your little pet project, that's she's getting too powerful, and I'd hate to think, you're getting a little too big for your britches."
Which is
So
exactly what Dooku is doing.
I know exactly. So I think Palpatine probably knows. He's just like, this is what the Sith do.
I've heard
They're
this story before.
sure. He's trying to. You're trying to overthrow me. You're wanting to get your apprentice, and so he's just like, okay, look, this you have to stop. I mean, you've had your fun. Now, be done with this because we got other things going on. And Dooku's like, oh, okay. So he
Sure,
basically,
I'll do it. And he's like, I expected a little more, I don't know why, a little more resistance from him. I didn't have any of the context of the show before this, how close they were. I know they're Sith, but like, I was
well,
like, oh, I guess no, but he's just like, F it.
well, I think that in the show, Dooku's always very deferential to Palpatine.
Okay.
He's sort of like, yes, whatever you say, Master. Yes, of course, I'll do that. So this was the first time in the show, though, and this was season 3, where Palpatine said, "Okay, I don't like her, so you need to take care of this." And he's not that thorough about it. He just sort of leaves her to her own devices and says, I'm not sending help. You're done. You failed, so that's it." And then he just kind of assumes that she's killed, which, that's
No follow up.
Well, you know what struck me as funny? What struck me as funny watching it was how, I want to phone Sidious here and, tell him, hey, I got rid of her, when he doesn't know for a fact she's dead. And then, Palpatine's sitting there going, okay, good job, whatever. And then, well, you just didn't, he just didn't feel that she was dead, or, he didn't acknowledge that. He felt her strength in the Force or whatever when she was alive, but then when she's unalive, but not really.
I was feeling the hand waviness of this timing of this format more in this trilogy than in the last one.
like,
It was
just
like, we're moving on because we only have 20
quick,
minutes.
quick. Yes,
If you say so, I'm good with
Move
that.
along. Move along.
I felt that too. Everything was very like time compressed, and like you do the wipe and then you're somewhere else,
man.
then another wipe.
Yep.
We'll get to that a little later too. Remind me to talk about compression on this one.
Okay.
But so Asajj is, actually I have to say,
Well,
I haven't watched old Clone Wars in a while, and it's interesting because the animation is still earlier in this kind of like genre. But I'll say the space battles still look great.
Oh, the space battles look awesome.
And even though the character's a little more like polygonish
wooden
in a sense. Wooden is a good way, yeah. But the space scenes I thought looked fantastic.
Yeah, and it opens. Go ahead.
Sorry, Jared.
No,
I was just
go.
gonna say the textures and like they're out, like even though everything is a little more stilted, everything still looks really good.
Yeah, it still looks good.
And I liked that the episode kind of started. It felt like kind of like Revenge of the Sith because they're doing a space battle, and then they come face to face with Ventress, and there's some.
And that's the last you see of Obi-Wan and Anakin for a while.
for an episode. So we abandon Ventress, and she makes her way to Dathomir, which I always thought was a really cool looking planet. Where I think this is where at the end of Ahsoka, this is where Thrawn is heading, right? Because his Star Destroyer is heading towards the red. Dathomir has a very distinct appearance. It's redness, and I thought I always enjoyed episodes on Dathomir just because of the way it looked. It was just different than anything else in the show, really. And so we meet up with Mother Talzin, whose sound design is crazy. I don't know if you're watching with headphones or on surround sound, Matt. I'm sure you're watching on your Apple Watch. Um, um, but the sound design on her voice is
awesome.
really wild. There's like her main voice,
like
and then a
5
very
layers.
just a layered, much deeper voice in the back. That's it plays really well. It makes it very creepy.
You guys seen
Yeah.
Dune, the new Dune?
Yeah.
Yes.
Part 2, the voice
He's the
in that
voice, yeah.
movie. It
Yes.
reminded me of that. Like
That
she's
Yeah, a
heavy-
little bit.
always using
The
at all
bass, the
times.
reverb.
She's
Oh,
got the
yeah.
voice.
It's very cool. The
Yeah.
witches are cool.
Yeah. So we stumble upon the witches, and I it's I think this part now again I'll defer to Lindsay's video game experience, but it's I found this to be a pretty good representation of what's in the game, sort of like, especially later in the arc. I thought the way the Dathomir we see in the game is pretty similar to what this looks
Definitely.
like.
I think so for sure. I was like, oh, I feel like I've played on this level.
Yes, especially
That was
with
really
when
good.
where they get the bows and everything.
Mhm.
But so we visit Mother Talzin, and she says, "Hey, look, like Matt said earlier, just basically throws herself at their mercy and says, I've been betrayed. I want to kill Dooku, and then we launch this very crazy scheme to."
And I was so interested by the end of this to know why Mother Talson is it because she's like, yeah, Ventress, welcome back. Love that you're back. So yeah, totally. Let's kill this guy. Hate him for you. Like otherwise, why does she hate him? Why does she want him dead? Because she's not like trying to help the Jedi. So
Sure.
it sounded like he helped her out or whatever, and that's the pretense she was using to get him to take the new soldier. So I just could not figure her out.
Well, true. And Dooku makes allusion to something. He's like, "Well, it's nice to be partners again," and
Yeah.
that's not something
Yeah.
that's in the show previous. That's something that's happened off screen. But Talzin does say, "Look, once I get you a new assassin, we're done.
We're
You
square.
you don't have to come back here."
I mean, it's interesting, right? You got their dark side users.
Yes.
They're just different religions in the dark side, and it's that doesn't mean they have to get along. It doesn't mean and
Yeah.
ambition in the dark side would dictate that one would want the power over the other. I would assume.
Sure.
And we see that later in even in the Ahsoka series, which I think they're doing a great job. I'm really enjoying that series, although it gets a little flack these days. I'm seeing a lot of like complaints about Ahsoka, but I liked Ahsoka. But
Yeah.
but
But the whole, and it brought back a lot of memories from Ahsoka, because I haven't rewatched it since we've talked about it, but the witches in that are almost stepped straight out of these Clone Wars episodes.
Mhm.
right.
And
Their outfits, their whole
they're conjuring weapons with the green mist, and all
Yeah.
that stuff. And that was first introduced in this episode.
Yeah. So they heal Asajj's injuries, whatever they are, internal injuries, I guess. At least she didn't get a lightsaber through her gut.
Well, she would have lived.
She would have lived. You're right. That was just a flesh wound. They heal her, and they come up with a plan. They said, well, we're going to do this, but we can't use you because Dooku can't know you're alive. So we're going to use, she's like, do you know Darth Maul? And she's like, sure. And she's like, some of his kin and bloodline are still alive on the other side of the planet, where we keep men in apparently an American gladiator style city.
I felt very bad for these men.
Yeah. But first they went over there. She went with those two Night Sisters.
Oh yeah,
And
with the
invaded
cool when they're cool
his
invisibility
castle.
powers.
Yeah, and then attacked them, and they made it look like Jedi and attacked them.
Well, by the way,
that's true.
Yeah, you're right.
And forgetting all that.
And we got to see Dooku in his PJs.
Yes, which is a skin you can use for him on Battlefront. He can fight in his PJs.
Wow.
That's what I thought of when I saw it. There's Dooku in his PJs.
I'm gonna throw it out to the group. Okay, I love the idea of that they're like little shadow camo. It's very cool. But how effective is it when you have a glow stick and you're running around.
Well,
Every time they had a lightsaber active, I'm like, you kind of know where they are. It's not like
I think
they're
it was
hiding.
to hide that they were I think at first it was to stealth them in, and then it was just to hide that they were
No,
they were
I know.
they were
I'm making
Night
fun
Sisters.
I'm making fun of the lack of camouflage with the lightsaber on.
Well, no, I don't think they were trying to disguise the fact that they were there with lightsabers. They were trying to disguise the fact that they were not.
They were Jedi
witches.
Yeah, they wanted Jedi to get blamed for it.
Yes, because they were using like blue and green blades.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very interesting because that's something we'd never seen is like they tried to drug him first.
Yeah.
And like to kind of put him off his game. And, Dooku was like, oh, what treachery is this?
Kind of sorcery is this?
And then he ends up against his desk, and then he lightning chucks them out the window.
I know.
Once again, doesn't verify that they're dead.
Yeah. But I like this part. We talked about last year when we watched Tales of the Jedi that Dooku is kind of an interesting character. Like he really hasn't been. They never really dug into him very much. But I think it's fascinating that this old guy is like he still dispatches these people even though he's drugged and out of it and he can't see who's attacking him. But he's strong enough to hold off their attacks. But this does convince him he needs a bodyguard around. He can't just fight in his PJs all his life.
Yeah.
So,
that's when he gets the call from Lady Talzin.
That he also just
that's very suspicious, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like hey,
oh yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
So I'm the person basically responsible for setting you up with your last assassin. Would you like to come and take a look at another model? Like that's somebody selling you a lemon of a car or something.
Right.
Hey, no, I got a new one down on the lot. It's really good. It won't break down on you.
It's got big horns.
So,
I guess Asajj was loyal. It was Dooku that wasn't.
That's true. That's
maybe
true.
He was like,
it's like, well,
he just
I'll give
trusts.
it. But
he's
also going right back. He's right back in the situation that Palpatine told him to cut it out.
He immediately makes this this just gigantic, soulless, mindless doofus his apprentice. He's like, "Yep, apprentice, not bodyguard." He's like, "You're mine now."
Yeah. Well, I think once he saw like his raw strength, he's like, "Okay, I can do something with this." But anyway, we're jumping ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
But he go ahead, Matt.
No, it's just Asajj is sent to the far side of Dathomir to find a dude.
Mm-hmm.
And we find the encampment of American Gladiator dudes that aren't very all that impressive. I'm not going to lie. None of them were like really cool. Now, at the end, when you had Savage beating the wall and cracking it up, that was cool. But until that moment, it was like, it's not that impressive. These guys aren't that cool.
Well, the one thing I thought looked cool was when they were all together and their eyes were glowing in the dark. I just thought that was a neat.
I wasn't sure if they were supposed to be that impressive because she's not impressed with any of them really until that happens. And the only reason he's impressive is because he's motivated by protecting his brother.
Right.
So I don't think they're meant to be that impressive.
I just don't, Darth Maul, who is not a muscular, larger than life individual, he was, he was intimidating in his own right, but he wasn't this giant that Savage becomes. He was taken from this group and made into something really impressive. I didn't see that level.
Naturally so. Like he wasn't mutated by the witches that we know.
I didn't see that amazing skill level in the bloodline yet, but
Yeah.
Well, I think they're just saying, well, hey, these are his siblings or his, his kin.
We promise there's potential there.
But, so we find we have a big fight and we narrow it down to Savage and his brother. And she ultimately chooses Savage. And they ride off in their little her speeder bike sidecar. That fantail looking thing. And I'm pretty sure. I guess from the beginning, the whole time, the plan was to like mutate him in some way,
I guess
like
so.
because
Yeah,
they get him and then lay him on the slab, and they're like, okay, well, this guy's kind of a skinny little weenie, and we need to.
but Ventress is like tiny, tiny.
And
So I
Darth
guess I
Maul
just
wasn't huge.
yeah.
So
So I guess I
Yeah.
don't understand like why the visual, but like big guy need. I don't get it.
Well,
Maybe,
I think. Go ahead, Brian. What
I was
are
gonna
your
say maybe
thoughts?
they just wanted to, when Dooku showed up with this, to pick up his guy or have him delivered or whatever.
Yeah,
Here's somebody that looks super impressive.
yeah. I
He
think.
can fight and he's huge.
I'm gonna take
Well,
another angle. I'm gonna take another angle. George Lucas, you think that he wanted to maybe sell some merchandise? Hey, George,
we gotta sell some Savage action figure.
are kids gonna like the small, skinny Savage? Do you think?
Oh, we're gonna have the big Savage. Got the big muscles. Got to
There
be
you
like
go.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
What they probably did was repurpose a lot of the 95 line into Savage Opress
Oh yeah,
figures.
that's true. When everybody was buff,
Yeah, they were
like Luke Skywalker looked like He-Man.
That makes more sense to
Yeah.
me than anything
Well,
else.
I think I do think it's what Brian said. It's like a visual.
I agree.
It's cosmetic maybe,
I
but
guess.
obviously his physical strength has been enhanced quite a bit because he was pretty. I mean, he was a good fighter without that, but now that he's this giant tank,
Right.
He's pretty formidable, and I think
Yeah.
that's what they're trying to sell Dooku on because they just want to get this guy inside Dooku's inner circle.
Yeah, they also made him soulless
Yeah, it
pretty
was
much.
Yes.
sad.
Because
they make him kill his brother.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that was pretty. He's just like with the cracking. That was probably a little extreme for a Saturday morning cartoon.
I was thinking that as I was watching it. I was like, this show is for kids.
Well,
Yeah.
you think about it, they just had a trial to the death for
Yeah,
all
that's-
these other guys.
no one, but that was like child appropriate deaths, where it's like sort of off screen,
Yeah, it's
sort
off
of out of
screen.
focus.
Dude
This
gets a
is his
spear in
brother
the stomach.
begging
That was
him
at least
not
7
to.
yards away.
Yeah,
no,
that was
you're right.
that was fine. His brother's like begging him not to kill him, and he like
It-
begging
it had
him, and
sound
then he
to it,
just
the
does
sound.
Yeah,
it.
and
It's
Yeah.
so sad.
Yeah.
There's
I mean,
see the other deaths
it's pretty
weren't
brutal.
sad. This one was
Yeah.
sad.
So you're right. They kind of transitioned him into kind of like a monkey. He wasn't like a thinking man. And
well, sure. The name of the episode is Monster.
Exactly.
So
But we get him there. He's presented. He's impressive. Dooku takes him on and then drops the entire like, you and I are going to rule the universe. Which, by the way,
Yeah.
Dooku's got a great voice. Who's the
Yeah.
voice actor that does
Corey
Dooku?
Burton.
He
It's
is
great
so
job.
good. I was thinking that about because obviously the last trilogy we watched, which I saw comes right after this one. The only characters I knew were like Anakin and Obi-Wan, and I thought their voice actors were really great. And I was like, oh my God, everyone they got to play characters I already had heard voices from in this were also really good.
Yeah. Corey Burton did Cad Bane and
Oh, he's so good.
Zero the Hutt.
Zero.
Zero
Oh.
Zero the Hutt. We're gonna watch an episode, Lindsay, very soon with Zero the Hutt.
Oh boy,
The flamboyant HUD.
He's-
I
he's,
can't wait.
He's very Corey Burton's a very talented
Yeah, he's
voiceover guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he does. He takes him in. He's like, "All right, we will rule the galaxy." And Savage, it's like, do you even understand what I'm saying? Do you need to like? It feels like I need to give him some dog food or something. He's just like, man.
Man, he trains him like a dog. But by the way,
Yeah.
Savage's weakness is obviously electricity because
Oh my goodness.
there's
He
nothing
still
else
hasn't
that he
figured
gets
that
exposed
out.
to except electricity in this entire trilogy. He
Yeah,
just gets
and
zapped.
well, and Dooku uses that very liberally. Just
Yeah.
hey, Master, I have a question.
And-
You
and
want to
It
be
does-
silent?
how do
it
you
does
stop
take a-
powers such as this? I'll tell you some other time.
Well, you just have to hold up your lightsaber.
Yes, I feel like they do kind of not nerf that power because it seems to be, but like that like mutates and fricks up the Palpatine, and he used it for
but that was like a prolonged exposure.
But maybe he has
doing it to him a lot.
He has different levels. Like maybe he has it on like like a I don't know, like a pressure cooker. It's like low setting, and you're like
the gigawatts are lower.
Yeah. You just get like a really bad shock, like you walked on carpet or something. And then,
Sure.
And then if he gets like, he goes, okay, well, he really needs a lesson. Let's turn it up to 8.
Yeah.
And then like, Palpatine's always using 10. That's why he's,
frying
people and everything.
At
the end of that
tracks for me.
episode, he sends him off to that planet to kill that Jedi.
Okay, I want to talk about that.
Oh, okay. He goes to
Devron? No.
Deveron.
So he's like,
Deveron.
It's like they have the temple. Said if we can control this planet, the Separatists can control that system. It's impressive. That's impressive. So he lands. There are 12 battle droids and one Jedi and his Padawan for the whole planet that he has to defeat. That's the Force. And I'm like, man, this is really, as we said earlier.
Well, didn't he kill some clone troopers?
Yeah, I think
there were clone troopers there.
Right. Was that the temple one? Okay, fine. 5 clone troopers. But it's like that's the Force, and this is like, okay, let's get this done. And I thought to myself,
this is such a key military outpost.
From the time he said, "I need you to go here," to the time he came back was like was 60 seconds. I'm like, that's amazing. Like that was very quick.
That was that 26-minute timeline.
I think that was to show I know it was quick, but I think it was to show the ease of which he could.
I think they could have shown the scale a little more, but whatever.
Probably so.
Well, later the Jedi are like, "Oh, someone killed 2 Jedi. No one we know could do that except these couple people." I'm like, are Jedi out here really just not getting got by anybody?
Right.
Except,
exactly.
Well, I mean, it feels like they get killed quite a bit.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Just by battle droids.
That's what I'm saying. So they're like, no one could have done this except someone super.
Well, they do have the video, right? That they watch the video.
But
no, that proclamation was before the video.
Yeah, they're
like
it must have been someone super powerful.
We have to see. This is not normal. Not normal beings in this universe can kill 2 Jedi easily.
But I did like the scene where he was fighting them because it was pretty. I mean, he goes in there.
He's a tank. You're right. He's just like a tank going.
They were overpowered,
and that little squid guy just gets thrown into the band. It's like no mercy, like off screen, like smash.
Yep.
After his that alien, that the alien Jedi Master that he kills with the weird, that's actually an alien from A New Hope. It's a background alien in the cantina. So that's just a little trivia for you.
You don't know the species, Jared? Come on.
I can't think of the species right now.
But Savage Opress is a badass. He's a tank, and we definitely get to see him that he's a complete maniac, and it's very cool to watch. And he gets back to Dooku, and Dooku's like, "Yeah, you did great.
Yeah,
good job, buddy."
Although
here's more training.
Yeah, there's more training, and he can't exactly. He's not very good with the lightsaber. We see,
right?
He's sort of
unfairly judged, I might add. He's like, your form is terrible. Well, of course it is.
He's like, you haven't taught me anything.
Use one of these things.
It's like you're a Sith Lord, dude. I'm just picked this thing up. Like
he's like, and you haven't figured out that I'm just kind of a mindless drone yet.
Give me half a break.
So he's instantly, got him in like the neck scissor, and he's like, "Oh, you have much to learn." Well, that's kind of your job, buddy. So you got to teach me.
God.
Maybe you shouldn't have killed your other apprentice. I don't know.
Crappy boss.
But so then we in short order, we've got we go to Toydaria, because he wants the king. The king actually was that king Toydarian guy. He was in the very first episode of the Clone Wars.
Right.
Oh.
He was somebody that Dooku was trying to bargain with to join the Separatists. So that's sort of a That's a little thread that came back. And then Savage just goes there and kills him. He's like,
again, he got into
against his orders, though.
He got into a planet to attack the sovereign ruler of it.
Yeah.
Very easily. Right.
Well, again, within like 60 seconds of arriving.
There was no obstruction. There was no, there was 2 guards that flew around.
Well, they had those little, there's those little Watto guys. They're just floating around.
Yeah.
They're not very formidable.
How do these people dominate a planet if they
may not.
And if you're a species that can fly, I know that he came in on a spaceship, but I feel like your security should involve easily keeping out people who can't fly. Don't be in a place where they can walk to.
Well, they do have
in here.
Isn't that that whole throne room is on like repulsor
but he
platform.
Walks right into it.
That's true.
And drags him out on a pathway. I'm like, who's that pathway for? They all fly.
I did like once again somebody got killed by.
They
Savage.
get tired.
Tiny little wings.
They have somewhere to rest.
These episodes, by the way, felt very video game like, the way like the fight scenes happen and stuff. I feel like I'm going like I was seeing levels of video games here.
And like fetch quests, like go here and take the temple, go here and get the king. You failed your mission. You killed him.
That was funny though.
Yeah,
I like that.
Well,
he's like
got Obi-Wan and Anakin on his back. He's like,
yeah,
like Obi-Wan and Anakin fighting him though. I thought was pretty good.
We'll take him together.
What about them visiting Talzin though first?
Did they visit her first?
They went to find out where Savage Opress was.
That's right.
After talking to Mace.
Plans within plans.
Yoda.
Yeah, that was fun because it did show like, okay, so she's also, friends with the Jedi and giving them what they want. She does tell him where he is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're gonna come in, you're gonna be brought in here with armed security, but
which again, poor Savage is the real.
I feel so bad for him.
Yeah.
Oh well, it
doesn't get
worse. It only gets worse.
I was imagining that. I was like, oh no, no one in the universe cares about this guy, so he's doomed.
Well, someone does, but we'll get there.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, so I really enjoyed when that towards the end of the last episode on the ship, especially when Savage is just like, he does that little move where he spins and does a force push and like everybody just kind of goes flying. And also, like when Anakin and Obi-Wan are fighting him, there's a shot, the door just opens and their bodies come flying out of the room.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh,
which again, Darth Maul was a powerful force user, as a Sith Lord. And maybe we start to see that genetics is still alive, and maybe the witches enhanced it unintentionally.
He seems pretty strong in it for someone who was just in that little gladiator thing. What felt like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah,
yeah.
True.
And
he's throwing around Dooku and Ventress and stuff.
Yes,
he's doing some stuff.
But I like Dooku basically tells everybody on the ship, forget the Jedi, take out Savage. He's public enemy number 1 now.
Yes.
And it is funny. Anakin and Obi-Wan are funny. They're like, nobody cares what we're doing.
I know. And like,
let's go.
Like, so the droids are just sitting there looking at him like, and he goes, hey, you're not supposed to be here. He's like, okay, we better leave. So, now were they in, were Obi-Wan and Anakin flying like an Ahsoka ship?
Yes, they were. And it got destroyed.
Right. I actually thought that was, because I forgot it got destroyed. I haven't seen this in forever. I thought that was going to be like Ahsoka ship in the future.
No, but that's
just ship.
But that's the same kind of ship.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. And I thought that's something, I didn't even remember when I was watching Ahsoka that's sort of like just kind of a Jedi cruiser that they kind of cruise around in.
Then they escaped in a Toydarian ship. Oh, Toydarian ship.
Oh yeah,
nice.
Toydarian ship. Yeah, they got away. But so of course, Savage is he's unwanted by everyone. And Dooku's like, oh, and I'm you're fortunately you're still under warranty, so I'm getting rid of you. I just hope Palpatine hasn't found out what I've been doing. But so we get Savage back on Dathomir, and he's talking to Mother Talzin, which who is now on Savage's side.
Yes.
She's on everyone's side.
Yeah, he's like, Duca betrayed me, Ventress betrayed me, and she's like, yes, that's very sad.
Well, she's playing chess. We see at the end why she's put all this into motion, because there's one thing that she wants to get to.
Oh, yes. Well, you have another brother who lives on the Outer Rim in exile.
Would have been a hell of a lot easier just to give him the thing to begin with and say, go get him, by the way. Didn't have to go through all this crap.
Maybe this was, maybe she's improvising here.
All right.
She's like, okay, look, everything here has gone south. Nobody knows.
It does feel like that. Like at every failure, she's like, okay, if that didn't work, I think she wanted them all to work. And then when they didn't, she was like, okay, what else can I use you for? I put all this green stuff in you. I've got to use you for something.
In the corporate vocabulary, she's pivoting.
She's failing up.
Yeah, she's pivoting to this new plan where she's like, well, maybe if I got Darth Maul back in play, that could go well for us. And so
that's the first time, by the way, since Phantom Menace that we see anything having to do with Darth Maul, by the way.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
So when this first aired, 2010 maybe, this was like a big deal because it was like, wait a second. Because they've been promoting Savage Opress in a lot of the promos, and we're like, oh, we're getting this Darth Maul type warrior back in action. But then at the end, they drop the bomb. Hey, Darth Maul's still alive, and he's going to come back. And so everybody was like,
with what legs?
Oh, right. Hey, Lindsay, we'll get there.
I think
we'll
I know.
Get there.
I think I know.
Well, so that's kind of where this arc ends. And, yeah, I think we've sort of acknowledged some of its, maybe some of its shortcomings, looking in retrospect, but I still think these are some of the good ones.
Oh, definitely.
It was super fun. A lot of like lore, like you just said, like I didn't know this was all necessarily the first time all this stuff showed up, but like now I do know that now, and how it ends up being in all these other games and all these other movies. Like it's good. Yeah. And the other trilogy we watched with the mother, who knows what
the father,
the father, the son, and the daughter, like deep, like just universe lore, which is really fun.
Yeah, well, this is when they started to really give this to us, right? We started to get these like little these trilogies and then overriding arcs versus the serialized one-off kind of like episodes that just kind of felt like nothing is progressing. Like this was like this is why, looking back, like the Savage Opress storyline was great. The mother, father, son, whatever, the mother, sister, father,
daughter, father, son
thing was interesting because it was something to hold on to and like look forward to versus just like spinning your wheels and like Mandalore. But no, but like I love these episodes, and I tell you this, watching these, I got anxious to kind of like get ahead of it again and watch the Darth Maul intros. I'm
excited to watch
because
them.
Like, yeah, that was some of my favorite, and to this day, I still think that's one of my favorite storylines in all of Star Wars is the Darth Maul arc. So I'm very excited to get back into it.
It was nice seeing, some episodes that didn't rely on. I mean, Anakin and Obi-Wan are in it, but they didn't rely on them.
Yeah, this is just like
or Ahsoka for that matter.
This is the stuff that was happening in the galaxy that wasn't necessarily always happening with them. Like everything else was still happening.
It's kind of not seeing the other side.
Yeah. And this season 3 of the Clone Wars is really sort of where the show starts to exceed, I guess, its original programming, where the first couple of seasons were sort of these battles of the week. And like Matt said, it felt like, okay, well, we're going to this planet this week and we're fighting the Separatist, and Dooku shows up and maybe Yoda's there. And it just kept going like that. But in season 3 is when they started taking these detours, like the Mortis stuff and the stuff with the Night Sisters, because if you think about it, this episode really has nothing to do with the conflict between the Separatists and the Republic. that is certainly going on in the background. I mean, you see clone troopers and you see battle droids, but that's
Space
not the
battles.
yeah, but that's not the focus.
No.
And Clone Wars really started to shine by telling those kind of stories, not just Battle of the Week stories. And there's still plenty of those to come, and they would continue to do that. But when they took these detours, I think that's where some of the best episodes were. So, and especially as we get up to season 7, which season 7 was truly something else. That's when the Darth Maul is still heavily involved, and that's when we start to overlap with Revenge of the Sith, and that stuff is just really mind-blowingly good. But we're taking a journey, and we can't just fast forward to season 7. We are going to continue to talk about just the good ones.
Yeah, I get to fast forward through all those.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do, Lindsay.
We've all lived the rest of them.
Yeah. Me and Matt and Brian were like a weekly basis. Oh, are we doing another Mandalore show this week? Excellent. Oh, is this little frog man has a 4-episode arc about him? As he's a little frog, Meber Gascom is his name, and he talks like this. And he's a little frog man. And it went on forever.
You may be surprised to learn that I did not watch them weekly.
Oh, did you?
I actually would. I might watch one, a couple of weeks in a row, and then I would just binge them. I'd let them pile up on my DVR, and I'd binge them.
The good old DVR days.
Yep.
Oh.
So I would just sit there and take an afternoon or a Saturday afternoon or something, and just plow through 6 or 7 episodes.
Well, that's good. I mean, we can all do that now. So,
yeah.
We'll see what our next arc is. Do we continue with Darth Maul, or is there some other good stuff that, as we've already done, we're not really going in chronological order because, as Mortis happened, we watched Mortis first, and it happened after this arc.
Directly after.
Yeah.
Yes. But, I'll try to curate episodes that don't necessarily require, previous viewings of other things, but we certainly will continue this show because I do enjoy it. I enjoy all your perspectives. And it's quite fun for me personally to revisit this stuff. So, any final words? Anybody?
Seeing if I wrote anything else.
Oh, check the notes, of course.
Yep. Oh, all I didn't say was this narrator, bro. Too silly.
Oh, are you
silly.
talking about the Clone Wars?
Clone Wars.
I'm like,
problems are happening somewhere.
It's funny, and it's like a good, I don't know, 40s radio voice.
Yeah.
It
It's
is
supposed
good,
to be.
but I'm like,
Supposed to be like the scroll.
he's
reading the
he's
scroll.
not setting the tone.
Yeah.
Very good.
Problems are happening in space.
This is a voice actor.
Watch this man murder his brother.
This is a voice actor named Tom Kane, who just about 18 months ago had a stroke and is unable to speak.
Way to go,
And he was
that when I said
he was he also was the voice of Yoda in the Clone Wars.
Oh.
And what Tom Kane is doing, he is basically he's taking the place of the crawl at the beginning of an episode,
I think it probably works really great on a less serious ones, but because we're watching for me, jumping in the middle of these very not serious arcs, but kind of darker, more serious arcs, and then I get to the next one, and I'm like, oh my god.
Well,
he actually, what are we watching?
He actually did record the opening scroll of A New Hope in his Clone Wars narrator, and that was kind of interesting to hear because it worked perfectly. Mm-hmm. It's like Princess Leia takes the plans. It's
the good radio serial voice. It is good for that, but it just I was like every time I was like, oh no.
You make a good point because when this show started, I think he was supposed to be almost like Armed Forces radio. He was telling you about the battles from the front.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
They did in the 40s. And they're like, our boys invaded Normandy yesterday, and that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And
that's a good point. But did that translate?
like I said, when they started doing these more Star Wars type stories, he did seem a little out of place. Like,
I can see
Savage Opress, brother of the Sith. It's like,
but and now just imagine if they hadn't used the narration for these kinds of arcs, it would have made it a little more maybe impactful
and actually giving you a crawler, maybe.
Maybe a little more. Just make it a little different, something out of the ordinary.
Because it already is different than the front lines of the Clone Wars that are just every week going to another planet. It's different than that. So
I know we don't do these shows regularly, but we'll definitely try to keep some momentum going on this, and we'll get back on the Star Wars horse very soon. But thank you all for jumping into a galaxy far, far away, and we will continue soon with Just the Good Ones. And until then, may the Force be with you, and we'll see you next time.
You know you can't live without this content. So subscribe to The Hyperspace, podcasting in the 25th century. Follow us on social media, leave us a review, and join us next time as we take you into the 25th century.